Hello, fellow 3D printers. I am Jay Wall, Print That Thing, and this is my lovely lover lady, Amber. Say hello, Amber.
Hello, Amber.
Hello, Amber. Today we are doing our third episode of our podcast. We usually do it live, but today we're not because we don't have enough Wi-Fi to power it. So tell them what we're talking about today, Amber.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be discussing the future of 3D printing and basically kind of examining what we know is happening in the 3D printing space and kind of making predictions about the future.
Yes, so what is the future of 3D printing? I'm asking you, watching, listening to this episode, what do you think the future of 3D printing is? So let us know in the comments. Where can they tell us where it
Well,
is?
we have this wonderful website that's at podcast.ptt.live. And it will allow you to either comment or leave us a voice message that we could potentially play in future episodes.
Yeah, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about what we think the future of 3D printing is, where we think it's going, where we think it is now. But we want to know what you think, so make sure if you do have an opinion or you think we missed something, go ahead and leave it there. But let's go ahead and jump into a sponsor. We don't have sponsors yet, so we are the sponsors of our podcast. Go ahead and kick it off.
This episode is brought to you by Print That Thing, a growing online community that seeks to unite the 3D print designers of the world. We offer community-only Discord, online courses, news, and monthly inspiration challenges. We want to bring together designers with years of experience, as well as the newbies just setting out on their own design adventures. Visit us today at ptt.live for more information.
That's right. If you want to learn to design, you can come on down to Funky Town at ptt.live. So today's episode, we're talking about the future of 3D printing. What is it? What do you think it is, Amber? Where do you think it's going?
I mean, I think it really depends on what area you are discussing that
True.
would be able. Because, 3D printing can open up a lot of doors for a lot of industries. So I think we should examine the four major ones that they as in like people in the industry are actually
They.
the theyness.
The they. Yeah, I think 3D printing really does cover everything, or can almost touch every industry, but we're just going to talk about the four that kind of stand out, obviously.
The four that actually are everything.
Yeah. So we'll just keep it. The first one is obviously product manufacturing, or just manufacturing in general. So what do you think the future of that will be, Amber?
I think that product manufacturing ranges from, I bought my iPhone on my phone, and then my new iPhone on my old iPhone.
You have a Droid. She doesn't have an iPhone.
Never had an iPhone.
She's lying.
But this is a hypothetical.
Okay, hypothetical
thing where I can go.
Right.
I'm buying this new device, and then then instead of going to a store to pick it up or waiting 2 days for Amazon to ship it, I have a printer that goes bloop and it prints it out. Right.
I like
within minutes.
Okay, I see that.
Maybe an hour.
Yeah, I think that's way down. Once we get into multi-material, because I feel like right now we're in the single material phase. We're just now getting a little bit more into the multi-material phase, because right now it's like plastics, metals, ceramics,
Or.
What'd you say?
Or.
Oh, or.
Either or. You can't have
ore?
both at this point. You can if you have the fancy $1 million printers,
Right.
but eventually they're already trying to make desktop printers that offer metals and things like that.
Yes.
With your...
Wait, you say with metal?
Yeah,
Oh, I haven't seen that.
They made one that has they're building it so that you can print your electronics.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have seen that. Yeah, okay. So it's doing plastic, and then it does a little bit of the kind of a conductive material.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. Yes. And then there's multi-materials that I've seen a lot, especially like Prusa printers and stuff you can get, or I can't remember what it's called.
Dissolvable stuff?
Well, you have multi-material or multi-extruders that can do different, multi-colors or like a dissolvable filament,
So dual or quad.
Yeah, there's kind of different ones. So the ones I've seen, you have two of those extruders, right? And we're in a 3D printing truck, so I'm pointing at these 3D printing extruders, just CR10. So you have that single one, and then they'll have one on the other side, like a left hand and right hand extruder.
I understand that.
And then Then they have the ones that are kind of like.
But we're talking about the future, not the ones that they have
That's
now.
true. Yeah, and then I guess what I'm trying to say that they're already getting to it, but I think it's going to go even more. Like I think the future is kind of what you were saying, where you're going to print your phone, your materials, once we get to the multi-material phase.
Right, that's multi-material. I think eventually, like far in the future, we'll figure out how to make devices that instantly like laser print. You know, like so. This is science fiction, but like
in the future.
Imagine, what?
Get a little closer. Let the
I'm
people hear
literally
your pretty
on
voice.
top of this microphone. Like a hypothetical, I can break something or eat something or whatever, and I can stick it into a device or some kind of sheath, and it'll auto show up.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking.
Or like bullets. You could do bullets, a gun that creates its own bullets.
Oh, yeah, that would be crazy.
Because that would technically be 3D printing, right? But on a rapid scale.
I guess so. It would be a
Not
new
that
type.
I'm looking for a gun.
But you might, yeah.
But, you know.
You never know. In the future.
But then I guess you'd go into science fiction and just go, why don't you just use lasers? Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Right. Well, I think the future of product manufacturing might not even be or I hope that it's not even plastic, and I don't think anyone's really talking about that much. Hopefully there's some companies working on it. I've seen some in the Netherlands that are doing mycelium, and some people that are working what'd you say?
Fungus.
Oh, mushrooms. Yeah, the fungus among us. But that was pretty cool. It looks kind of weird and gross, and I think most people would be grossed out by it.
I thought it was a powdered donut.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a powdered donut, but it's essentially
Someone else
like
thought it was Wheaties.
It's like hay. They like break down the hay, and then they put in mushroom spores, and then the mushroom spores kind of harden, and then you have this material that can feel like cork, it can feel like plastic, it can feel like hardwood, depending on some of the properties they do with it. So that I'm really excited about. And then there's another thing that I've seen. They're using ceramics. I think Wasp over in Italy, they're doing a lot more ceramics, and they even are using cob. And cob is just like adobe, dirt. So I'm all about, I hope maybe we can figure out a way where we can just take the dirt in our backyard, throw some fibers in there, sprinkle a little packet of something, and try to change the plastic problem. So that's what I'm hoping for the future of 3D printing, is we get a little further. I hope it gets further away from plastic, because there's such a crazy plastic problem.
I mean, I don't know if Americans
America
or just humans in general would be open to changing. I mean, we have so many things that are plastic related.
Oh, totally. Everything.
The goal really for that topic is like figuring out how to close the loop, really figuring out how to make it where recycling at home is possible, not like recycling we do now where it's like, I drank this bottle, now I put it in a blue thing. Like, no, legitimately, like going into the process of, I have a printer that I throw all my plastic in, and it makes whatever I purchase off of whatever later.
Right. And you know how there's that little number, the little recycling triangle, and then there's a number inside. So apparently only number 1 and number 2 are like the only ones you can actually recycle. Everything else is like you can't really do anything with.
Right. That's
like
what I'm
up
saying,
to 10.
is like that 3D printing could potentially close the loop.
Oh yeah, I hope
of
so.
that, where if you create I'm imagining.
What you imagining?
I'm imagining just like a fridge or a or the way you buy an appliance, everyone would purchase a 3D printer, but realistically it would solve the problem of your plastics, making most plastics that are reusable, getting it where, okay, so hypothetical, I drink a Coke, whether it's metal or plastic or whatever, instead of throwing it in the trash, it would go into my 3D printer's compartment.
Yeah.
That would then melt it down and do whatever it needed to do.
I like that.
And then when I'm ready to purchase something that needs those materials, it would go bloop, 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 and then it would print
I
it.
see.
So then it would close the loop. So I'm just constantly reusing
It's
the
just
shit
doing
that
it
I'm not.
for you. Yeah, maybe it's
Right.
got like a sensor, and it's like, oh, this is a number 1 plastic, this is a metal, this is aluminum,
Right.
if that's even possible. But I mean,
don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
just the fact that we're talking about it.
AI is advancing. That would be part of it, and then
Yeah.
that would be a cool machine. So if anyone wants to work on that, please do.
Yeah, I see some people doing it, but let's go ahead and jump into the next one. So that's what we think. That's our dreams and hopes of product manufacturing. What's the second one? here, Amber? You have?
Well, on our list, we also have medical and biology industry,
Yes.
which I guess includes organs and
Medicines.
medical units, prosthetics, things like that.
Biohacking. People just, I mean, it's just crazy. It's going to be, I think I've read in this this kind of futurist book that they were saying one day you may even be able to take like your DNA or something, like a sample from your eyes, and then
3D print your eyes.
they could 3D print your eyes. This is like far into
In
the
your
future.
head.
You know, maybe like 4 years from now. But
Four full
40
years?
I'm just kidding. Like 40 years maybe. Maybe you take a sample of your eyes when you're young and fresh in your 20s or your teens, and then when you're old and decrepit like us, then you can when you're old, maybe you're like 70, 90, 120, then you could be like, "Ooh, my eyes are getting a little rusty," and then you could bring that file up or that data and reprint your fresh eyes and pop them bad boys back in.
Well, aren't they saying that like because of 3D printing and how close they're getting to like printing meat and printing like organic materials with fake synthetics, we are legitimately going to be able to live twice as long as we already live now.
I hope so. I'm going to 200 at least.
Because if you can, it's basically science fiction, but it's the future.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. We can put this on the record right now. I would definitely give my body. Oh, you
Sorry.
good? Sorry, we may have had a little audio issue there, but I would definitely put my body in for some science experiments. Or if I lost my hand, I would like totally 3D print a hand. Or if I would be like the first on the list, and then I would do a YouTube video about it. Just, why not?
Let's just hope that you don't lose any limbs.
Yeah, let's just hope.
But
But
I mean, the future in the medical, and I think that's where a lot of people are looking for. I know that when you look for 3D printing jobs, a lot of it is for teeth right now because everyone's vanity is so intensely involved in the way that they look. So I'm sure there's going to be like 3D printing collagen to have the perfect cheekbones or
3D printed boobies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh, that would be a crazy market. Just be like, I need to model my perfect boobs. Oh, I was even thinking about I've been thinking about like medicine, because we're so like big pharma. Everyone's like dependent on their pills and stuff. Once people can 3D print medicines in their house, like they're gonna be like people that are just like pharmacists in their house making up drugs and medicines, and they're not even going to be able to stop it. Like, it's just going to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they would sell those. I guess you...
Or like the opioid crisis, people would be like making like heavier pain, like, because back in the day it was like people were hooked on or they still are Oxycontin, but they would make like probably something that's like Oxycontin times 10, if they know how to tweak some molecules on their powder.
I don't know. We can get into the whole drug conversation because I have some thoughts. But
okay, that's another podcast.
Probably not on Print That Thing.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, just making things more accessible in the home is where 3D printing...
Amber's holding my leg.
I know, they can see.
Yeah, so that, it could go on forever. We're going to be printing kidneys, hearts. They're already working on that stuff. Eyeballs, maybe in the future, lungs,
Livers,
arms,
kidneys,
penises, who knows? So
everything. Skin, I bet
skin,
that'll help with like
grafting.
When you're injured, you can...
Wow. I mean,
But
it's just crazy.
Is that nanos?
Who knows?
I don't know.
They have little.
I watch a lot of science fiction.
they have little nano robots that are like little
that
baby
print
3D
things.
Yeah, what if they're like little ants, little microscopic ants, like in there working on inside of your body?
Because they're actually 3D printing. That's their actual task.
Yeah, but they do it in a group because they're connected with AI.
Yeah.
So then they can all talk to each other.
And then they take over the world and they just kill all of us.
Oh my gosh. Let's go to the next one. The next one, this is one that I've read about that I think everybody is not really thinking is going to be very huge. But from things that I've been reading, they say it's going to be the biggest.
What?
Food 3D printing.
I actually Googled food before we started doing this.
Yeah.
3D printed food, and it just looks disgusting.
Oh, of course.
And like a video that I watched was like, we 3D printed this food and then we cooked it with lasers. And it was like, I feel like that's going to take way longer than it is for me to put something in a pan. And then on top of that, it didn't even look that great. It was like this weird...
It's cube.
Weird. It was weird. And then they like Yeah.
I've seen one. I mean, obviously there's chocolate. Duh. That's like the easiest one ever. Pancakes. But I saw one that really blew my mind. It's on my Instagram. Is sushi. I think it's a company in Japan that is like making, but it looks like 8-bit sushi. Like it's crazy looking.
Do you think it tastes like sushi?
I mean, there's people eating it and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, it just kind of grosses me out with the raw fish thing. I don't know how they're doing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we
I
start
would
seeing
try
that.
it, but
oh, totally.
Part, I guess, for me is like sushi is also a texture thing. So like if you're taking away the texture, that's interesting.
Amber's a quarter Japanese, so that's very
not
serious.
important.
It's a very serious topic about rice texture.
Rice texture and flavorings.
But yeah, I think even there was also something I was reading about, like, say, you know how everyone's wearing those Fitbits and stuff? Mm-hmm. They would essentially have a Fitbit that's tapped into you a little bit more, and it's like reading your salt intake, your oxygen in your blood, you know, all these different things, and then it would have the food 3D printer, you know, that's like your Keurig
That would restrict your diet.
It would like if your doctor was like, hey, Jason, you need to start lowering your salt intake, bro, like you gotta wean it on down, then I would tell the 3D printer that, or my doctor, I guess, could tell the 3D printer.
I would not want a doctor to dictate that shit, or a computer.
But if you wanted to do it, you know,
if I said yes, I opt in.
If you opt in, yeah, I guess you could, like, the machine would slowly wean you off of salt little by little each day. So before you know it, you don't even notice.
So that's an interesting thought, because then it's like, well, would that data transfer over to when you go out to eat at restaurants or whatever?
I'm glad you said that, because no, it probably wouldn't. I mean, it could eventually.
I mean, it could, right?
Yeah, later. Once like the whole globe is into that thing, if that's even how it goes. But what I'm curious about, you know, when you go into McDonald's and you see those like
kiosks.
Yeah, everything's like turning more where they don't need employees as much, and they're just trying to get everything to be like a big fucking tablet. I mean, I think the first 3D printing food wave we're going to see is whatever chain fast food company decides to start experimenting. I'm sure they're already experimenting with it now, but whoever brings that out first, and if it becomes successful, like, they're going to just replace people. You know, they would just have a machine, almost like a vending machine, and maybe you have a few people up front that are just like, you know, customer satisfaction.
Nah, they'll just have robots.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or an AI that talks.
Yeah, that's where I see the future of food. What do y'all think out there?
Well,
what do you think, Amber?
Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen these movies, but Back to the Future.
Yes.
Back to the Future has that scene where she puts the little pizza inside of the microwave, and it's a big pizza. And then there's the one where, what is it, Fifth Element, where she puts some stuff into a bowl and she puts it in the microwave, and then it dings and it comes out into chicken.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't that technically be 3D printed or 4D printed foods? Because you'd be adding heat, and then it expands. So would that be considered the future of 3D printing if the next step is 4D printing?
I think that would, it would be over time. I think food would fall into 4D printing, especially if it's expanding, because you would 4D printing is essentially just adding time, and usually there's an agitator, you know, like heat or water or, you know, something that makes something happen, and then
saliva. You put saliva in your mouth, and then you've eaten a full course meal, like in Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I think of 4D printing almost like origami. You know, like imagine a piece of paper, and then you like get it hot, or you like drip some water on it, and then it folds into like a crane.
Right, but that's like plastic.
Crane.
I'm talking like you could transfer that into food, where
possibly
you would 3D print the information inside of a little tiny thing, and then you would add whatever water or heat, and then that would expand it to your thing,
to your pizza.
Because essentially that would be printing, right?
I mean,
or the result of. I guess you would
the
have
printer would build it. Yeah,
you would 3D print a 4D
programmable material
thing.
Yeah, so you would have programmable material. Okay, I like that. Let's go ahead and jump into I mean, we could talk all day on this, but the fourth one is the housing and construction industry with 3D printing.
I just got really into housing and construction earlier today. I had an epiphany on my presence walk, and I was like, so I started looking into it, and it seems like that industry is interesting because they're like, yeah, we can build it super fast and super cheap, but it's also one of those things where like, yeah, it's super cheap for you, but how much are you going to charge me for the service?
100 times.
Because the Icon in Texas was like, we can print these for $4,000, or in theory, like, I don't even know if they've managed to make it for $4,000 each, but I know that the one that they built in Texas was 10,000, and they're really a company that's selling the printers to other people.
Right.
But I fell deep into like not deep, like
Semi-deep.
where I could have drowned. But it was about the legalities of 3D printed houses and like if I build a house, if I'm purchasing a 3D printed house and there's something wrong with it, who is liable for that?
The printer.
Deficiency. Right. So then it's like,
yeah.
okay, so then is it the construction worker who purchased the printer, or is it the code that made the printer do the job, or is it
the designer who designed it?
So it's an interesting thing. But I mean, in theory, construction and housing for 3D printing, essentially, I know that people are using it for third world countries and like countries where
villages.
they're devastated by
or
natural disasters and things like that. But yeah, it's an interesting topic that's actually like going to be tangible here in a few years.
I mean, it's already happening. That's that's really the reason my whole dream was, if you're just listening to this, you can't tell, but we're in a 3D printing truck in the middle of like 1,000 acres. And then we have this little 5-acre plot. But I essentially wanted to buy this so I could 3D print a tiny house and then share it with other people. So I've been keeping an eye on this market for about 4 years now, just like looking at it and thinking about it and dreaming about it. And so Amber's already been like designing some houses inside of Blender just to kind of. I don't
think those are 3D printers.
Yeah, I don't think they're 3D, but it's getting the idea. It's getting it all going. But it seems like everybody's doing it out of concrete, and you've talked about this where you think it's kind of ugly.
Yeah, I don't like the way that they look. It looks like bugs it looks gross.
This is early, yeah.
But I think that that's just an aesthetic thing. It's like you can, I mean, Cobb, when you're building with Cobb by hand.
Cobb is like Adobe.
Isn't pretty either. It looks like just mud piled on top of each other. But then once you have your walls built, then you go over it and you like restyle it and all that stuff. I think that that's just a step that's been overlooked because it's being designed by engineers.
And I think a lot of it is like people are leaving it. We still got to talk about the future of it, but we're talking more of like what it is right now. But I mean, it's still like pretty early, so it kind of is the future, but the present future.
I guess for me is like I'm kind of skeptical to see if 3D printed houses can infiltrate the very closed-minded market of housing.
Well, it's disruptive
in America.
tech. Yeah, it's disruptive tech. So they're definitely not going to open it with welcome arms,
right?
Unless they're part of it or they're getting some cut. The traditional builders. Well,
it's also interesting because like there's so many different codes based on like you have to have a beam here for every foot or whatever the fuck. And so it's like, but 3D printing doesn't require those things because the structure
or people as much.
Right, and it's removing like
a
huge
lot of
industries.
people. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of those things where the government's going to be behind on this anyway. It was funny. I was actually watching. Excuse me.
What were you watching?
There was a video for. We Print Houses or WePrintSomething.com or I don't know, this isn't an endorsement, but their video was actually pretty hilarious. It was like for generations we've been
100 years.
we've been building shelters out of sticks, wood, and mud or bricks.
Yeah.
Bricks, stone, and sticks, stones, and bricks. And he's like, hundreds of years later, we're still building sticks, stones,
They're talking
and
about
bricks.
for 3D printing?
And then they were saying, but we can do something better.
Oh.
And like, they're claiming that it's eco-friendly and like your, your imprint, your eco imprint, like it's not, you're actually going to be able to save a lot of resources since it won't take as much time to heat or cool the house.
Okay.
But that's the same concept as with Cobb as well and like hay bale houses and things like that. I think it's just a different style of building that has proven to be able to be done, but it's not necessarily mainstream building.
Yeah. I think the future, it's cool to see the different people because there's like Wasp that's doing it more Adobe. Then there's like a lot of companies and in China and stuff that are using all like different types of concrete.
And they're all proprietary kind of.
Yeah. And then there's ones in Amsterdam that are doing kind of concrete based. It seems like maybe something in mushrooms, who knows? Then there's one in Chattanooga, Branch Technology, that I've been talking to, that they're like they're taking a whole different approach. They're like fabricating the parts in-house or in their factories.
Right.
And then they just bring the parts and put them together, and they look funky and crazy, like nothing like, it looks like the Jetsons' house.
So they're more like prefab homes then.
Yeah, but
they're 3D printed prefab parts,
right.
But they're not like printed on site.
Right. So it's going to be cool to see, you know, who wins this battle or which way it really goes in the future, whether it's, are the houses going to be prefabbed in factory and then put together and on the, you know, in masses, or are they going to be like these big 3D printers that are like plopped down onto the earth and popping out little baby houses one after the other? You know, it'll be cool to see.
I think that it's interesting because I think it's going to be politics that really decides which part of the world has 3D printed on site versus prefab. I feel like America is probably going to end up adopting the prefab side of it.
Okay, we got a prediction here, ladies and gentlemen.
At least in the beginning. As opposed to the countries that do require faster, higher, cheaper, more affordable building on-site kind of thing. Right. That would be my prediction for the next 20 years of housing construction. But that's from someone who knows very little about it and is just pulling shit out of my ass.
Yeah, and we're just dreaming. I mean, this whole podcast is really just to not be like, we know everything and we know what the future is going to be. Like, that is not what this is at all. This is just to get conversation started and to talk to all of y'all out there. So, you know, leave a message or leave a comment below if there's anything that you think you want to expand upon what we talked about, or correct us. Who cares?
Yeah, correct us.
You can shout us out. You know, say we're stupid. We don't care. We just want to get people talking about it. These topics, and you know, maybe just see what the future holds. And hopefully, it's less plastic. That's my only wish, really.
But I think that the more that we can have these conversations, the more ideas will spark, and the more the industry will expand, and the more rapidly it'll move, and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So
I agree. Well, that's pretty much the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and jump to one of our sponsors, which is us.
This episode of the Print That Thing podcast is brought to you by PTT.live, a growing online community that seeks to unite the 3D print designers of the world. As a thank you for tuning in this far into the podcast, we'd like to offer our listeners a 50% discount code for any of our online courses. This includes our recently reopened enrollment for the 4-week workshop for March 2020. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and use the code PODCASTLOVE, all one word, at checkout. Visit podcast.ptt.live for more information.
Yeah, so super excited. We had a crazy awesome February workshop with some really creative designers, some people that have never done anything and some people that have had some experience with other softwares, and they both blew my mind. So I'm really stoked to see what the March students bring, and we're actually going to do a gallery showing this Sunday. So yeah, if you do want to learn 3D print design in a quick way, jump on in the workshop. It's pretty, it's definitely an immersive experience, but it'll get you up to speed pretty quick.
Yeah. And don't forget, tonight and next week, Wednesday, we'll be hosting a live beginner designer training.
Yeah, the 3D printing powwow.
Yeah, you can sign up at powwow.ptt.live if you're someone not designing yet and want to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. JWO does a really great job.
Thanks, Amber.
Interacting with folks learning and kind of walking you guys through a lot of what is offered in our Beginner 101 course.
Yeah, essentially it's like the beginning of week 1, and you get to learn the 3D print workflow. So, and ask me questions and just kind of interact with everybody around the world.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I guess that kind of brings us to our next podcast will be on March 11th, so we're not doing a podcast next week. We'll be discussing money and the 3D print community.
Yeah, I feel like people are it's so taboo to talk about money, or even ask for money for your designs, or how much money do I charge for a client. So we're gonna be talking about all those types of things. So if you have any questions you want answered or want us to talk about, then just go ahead and leave a comment at podcast.ptt.live, and we'll add it to the next episode.
So we'll be going over kind of the stigma of money exchange in the industry, as well as, ways to make money and maybe what the limits or possibilities might be for all of that as well.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all soon.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Peace.